Hi, I'm Sharon. Recently, the most terrible thing happened to me. It was literally the worst thing that could happen to a girl studying in high school. What do you think about nude photos? I hope you dislike them as much as I do because my photos were done without my permission. I was framed and now I'm disgraced. Everyone in our little town talks about me, and I can't prove anything. I don't know when exactly it began and why I didn't notice anything. Our class is not very tight-knit, and everyone keeps hanging out alone or with guys from other classes or even schools. That's why I didn't spot the moment when everything went bad. It's never been good. Everything happened so fast, all of a sudden, and rather stupid. So we had to close the dressing room after the lesson. The teachers didn't bother to control such things. They were leaving right after the end of class. So that's how I appeared in the corner of the dressing room surrounded by my classmates. They were both girls and boys and all of them behaved aggressively, though I didn't understand what they needed from me. Although I wasn't a perfect classmate, their demands were definitely over the line. They wanted me to undress completely, like to be fully naked. I was supposed to get naked in front of all those people, and I swear there was something creepy on their faces. Certainly I wanted to go away. What were they talking about? We were in the school dressing room and not in some strip club. Unfortunately, they were not going to free me. That was the moment when, for the first time, I understood the phrase, "The crowd demands spectacle." Yes, and they demanded it at any cost. I don't think that if one of them was in my shoes, he would fulfill such requirements. They just sandwiched me in a corner and started yelling at me. They called names, threatened me, and some even filmed everything on their phones. I cried and begged them to let me go. Certainly, they didn't listen. In the end, they got tired from standing there and maybe they realized I won't do anything willingly. Then began my personal hell, which I still can't recall without terror. They attacked me altogether and began to undress me. The most active were girls and the guys were just standing aside and laughing. They took off everything. And also they ripped and threw away those things which they couldn't just take off. I was left completely naked, all crying and disgraced in front of everyone. It was so scary. I tried to cover my body, but what could I do all alone against the whole class? The most terrifying was their intentions. Why did they do that? Just for my humiliation? What was happening? It appeared they needed my photos, although it was also rather scary and I didn't know why they needed them. At least they didn't want to hurt me physically. That calmed me a bit. After the show, they just went away, laughing and joking. They left me crying and naked in the dressing room, and I didn't have anything to cover. They took my clothes except for torn pieces. I remained in the dressing room for hours. When I finally got it together, it was already dark outside and the school was empty except for several guards. I tried to cover my ripped clothes with a coat and walked home through the yards, hoping not to get in some trouble. I didn't want to get caught by the police because I had no strength to explain everything. At home, everyone was terrified. First, my parents thought that I was attacked by someone on my way back from school. But then I told them about my classmates and they were shocked. My parents promised to make a scene at school or even call the police in the morning. After that, they gave me a sedative and put me to bed. But in the morning, everything became much worse. The mailman brought the newspaper and we saw that my photo was on the first page. Yes, our town is so little that news widespread really fast. The columns in our local newspaper were no exception. Same photos could be found everywhere on the internet. My social media, school website, a lot of different reposts of the other kids. My classmates made a huge spy setup while I was sleeping. Moreover, all the photos were edited in such a way as though I was willingly posing. They removed the traces of tears and one could barely see my entire face. Being a teacher, I would definitely give all my classmates an A for their Photoshop skills. Certainly, my parents made a scene and even called the police as they promised. But people always believe whatever they see with their own eyes. And according to the photos, it was quite clear that I posed voluntarily. There were, as always, some conversations about the moral level of modern teenagers and so on and so forth. The last straw was the story of my classmates about me. They talked that I've always been rather weird and done weird things. They remembered my social media, where I posted pictures with strange aesthetics, as well as strange people. Also, they recalled my attempts for the beauty contest. All my efforts were in vain. I was already disgraced, and all the attempts of my parents to prove that I wasn't responsible for all that also failed. They made things even worse. My mother and father were talking about me coming home in a terrible condition, crying and freaking out, but they only fueled the interest, and people drew their own conclusions. I became the outcast of our town. The only thing which calms me down is that my school education will end soon, and I'll be able to escape this terrible town. I will go somewhere where no one knows me and where no one has seen those photos. I can't understand one thing. Why did they do that to me? And I don't know the answer.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela, and I have all the answers. I'm Sharon's classmate, and I can tell you the whole truth about what really happened with that poor, unfortunate girl. The thing is that poor Sharon is, how do I put this delicately? She's a bit of a scumbag. And believe me, all the things we did to her were just chump change compared to everything she's gotten away with. Oh, how can that be, you say? Little Miss Perfect Sharon is always sweet and innocent, with her big eyes and cute curls. Our teachers all adore her, and even her parents compare all their kids to her. But we know the truth. We know what evil was really stirring behind those sweet baby blue eyes of hers. Sharon has always been one to step on people's toes. Obviously, no one's perfect, not even me. Anyway, we've had a few, confrontations before, but this time Sharon crossed the line. Sharon is such a brat. She once got caught cheating and threw a hissy fit screaming about how other people cheat all the time. And nothing happens to them. And then she snitched. I get so angry thinking about how damn self-righteous she is. There were so many little things, too, and they just kept mounting. We were nearing our breaking point with her. And then she went and did it. She finally broke the camel's back. It was time to wipe that sweet little smirk off her stupid face. She definitely knew that I was in love with a boy from another class. Like, we totally smiled at each other in the hall, and he was just working up the courage to talk to me. And I was about to give him a little helpful nudge in the right direction when she got in the way. Everyone knew he was mine. Everyone, it seemed, except for little Miss Perfect. She went up to him in the library, patted those stupid eyelids of hers, and asked him for his help. With that wickedly sweet smile of hers, she knew how to work the field. That much was obvious. This wasn't her first time turning up those charms like the little succubus she is, and she pulled out all the stops to make sure he stayed interested. The day when they started dating was the beginning of the end for her. How dare she? Pretending to be so innocent, I wanted to tear her apart, to rip that fake mask off of her and expose her for the vixen she really is. So we hatched a plan. We needed to put her in her place. We needed to ruin her reputation, make her so weak she becomes like a doormat. And then he would finally break up with her and realize it was me he wanted all along. We prepared the perfect revenge, and I got my hands of some less than ideal photos of our little Miss Perfect Sharon. So we carefully edited everything using Photoshop. And when it was all done, I leaked the photos on the internet. And another girl brought them to her aunt, who works as a journalist for the local newspaper. And several guys were hanging photos all around town, especially on campus. Everything worked perfectly according to my plan. Sharon's innocent girl routine was exposed for the trash it was. Everyone was able to see how much of a self-absorbed manipulator she really is. And her now ex-boyfriend broke up with her in front of the whole school, turned around and asked me out instead. Serves her right. She should know better than to mess with other people's things. Please share in the comments what you thought about this story and its characters. And don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe so you don't miss our latest stories.